All right. And we are live. The last word with Lord Cognito and Ebontis, fresh on that Friday morning, just a little late, not that late. But we got a special guest in the building. But first, E, how are we doing, sir?
Busy this morning, hence the reason why we're a little late. No, helping cover stuff at work, so I literally had to sprint home to make sure we got this thing rolling. So sorry about the late start for chat. If you guys are listening to this later, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that being said and out of the way, we got an awesome guest. We got some fun stuff to chat about this morning. So that being cleared up, a little late, but all's well. Moving. I'm fueled by focus over here. Woo! So let's get it rolling. Who we got joining us today? Let's do this.
Let's bring this person in. Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 152. It's another glorious Friday. We're back in front of the campfire for some more looter shooter discussion. I'm extremely excited about our special guest, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a lady whose passion for the Destiny franchise was not only a case of gaming love at first sight, but has also been a stellar representative for community inclusion, great Sherpa help, and tremendous empathy for mental health. Introducing the creator and host of the SilverSpeare YouTube and Twitch channels, the proud huntress yet low-key warlock main, who always makes new friends but keeps the old because one is silver yet the other is gold. Live from New England by way of my New York and making her debut at the campfire of The Last Word, my girl, Lady SilverSpeare. How you doing, sis?
I'm pretty good.
You weren't ready for that one.
That was amazing intro. Oh my God.
No doubt. Absolute pleasure. We got to bring you into the campfire right. It's only right we do. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Feeling good. It's Friday morning. Usually that means, the end of my weekend, the start of everybody else's weekend, but I'm feeling good.
No doubt. Let's get this thing going. Yeah, I know you got questions. I got questions. Great guest. Let's get to it.
Yeah. Honestly, one of the first ones, because I know if they've caught you on a podcast before, they may know this, but not everybody's going to know, and not everybody would expect this, but normally we're going to go into things like gaming history, what you played before and things like that. And yours is definitely probably the most different start to gaming that I've ever heard. So tell us basically where you started in gaming and kind of how it's been going since. This is an interesting one.
So basically, my former roommate, he showed me Destiny through just his Twitch stream, because he'll stream occasionally. Nothing serious, but he just showed me Destiny, and I felt really, interested by what I saw. And at the time, I didn't have a console. I didn't have, a PC. I didn't know anything about that world, quote unquote, as we would say. Mm-hmm. And Destiny was on the list of games that he was like, yo, get this. But as soon as I hopped into Destiny, I did not stop. I mean, he stopped playing the game, and I absolutely did not, because from the beginning, this game was just so much more than a game. It was just a life-changing experience for me. I come from a background where my parents don't support gaming. That's just not what they consider to be the ideal. You grow up and you hold a certain kind of profession and yada yada yada. And I ended up not falling into that cookie cutter. I don't think that they would even support the idea of me streaming. I don't think they understand it. But ever since I played Destiny, I just haven't looked back. I don't know what the future looks like, now for me, post Destiny world, but sometimes I don't understand when people are talking about, their former game experiences. Halo is something I 100% don't understand because I didn't play it. Yeah, I didn't play it.
Makes sense.
So I feel a little spoiled because Destiny is just so it's just so unique,
right?
And I think we all know that.
Absolutely.
From what.
So I was going to add on one other piece to that before I send it back to you, Cog. Mm-hmm. For having not played much games for most of your life, are there any ones you've heard about, been told about? Do you have a list anywhere of stuff that Destiny has a unique space for you, but is there anything like when you go to venture out, or if you're going to take a break from Destiny, if that ever happens, I don't know, or is there anything on a list that's waiting for you to play as, you know, your next game or a big look forward to, or somebody else is like, okay, so if you like Destiny, you have to play fill in the blank. Is there anything that's on a list for you that you're waiting to get into?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely picky. I am really spoiled with Destiny. But I did like The Division.
Okay.
It's just very hard to get away from Destiny because, you know, for a while it was the fear of missing out,
Yes.
and I was just very dedicated to the grind. Like, there's a lot of things that I have that people go like, "Oh, how do you get that?" I'm like, "You can't get that anymore. Like, you either
Don't it
there
feel
or
good to
not."
say that? Don't it feel good?
Number one thing is Trials of the Nine flawless ornaments that everybody hates me for, and I'm just like, I didn't quit Destiny during that time. I just didn't. Yeah, so I have them.
Respect.
And everybody's jealous. That is, I think that's as OG as it gets.
No, that's OG.
At this point.
I respect it. So first of all, look, I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
No, because first of all, shout out to Slow Mo. He's a big Destiny, Division fan. So here's Division. He perks up. It's kind of funny to see him.
He's like, I'm sorry, what?
He's like,
Hello?
who said Division?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, see people play
Like
it.
a prairie dog popping out of the
I know,
hole.
right? Yeah, tennis went up. Shout out to him.
It's funny. It's funny because when the Division, like the first one came out, everybody like quit Destiny, including my roommate, to jump into Division. And I tried, but I was like the only one playing Destiny consistently while nobody was around.
They was mad at me. I was like, you bunch of traitors. I was in my feelings for a little bit. It was the first time I seen, like, to your point. It was the first time Destiny really had adversity, D1. And it was during like a content drought, right? And then Division just comes right into that space. And we're like, yo, what's going on? And I was still like, but I still love playing it and I'm having fun. Like, I was still playing Destiny. But it was a big split for a while. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I remember that the game just ended up not being as great as it could be. I know they made it better down the road, but everybody had like moved on that was gonna play the game. Everybody had moved on. I never quit Destiny. I have never quit Destiny. Curse of Osiris, never quit it. Yeah. Warmind, didn't quit it. Like, I never quit it. Mm-hmm. There were brief periods where I was working 2 jobs and I could only play so much, but I didn't quit. Yeah. I was just fell behind a little bit.
That's different.
That's life.
You didn't have one of those social moments like, I'm quitting Destiny.
Never. Yeah. I never.
No dramatic mic drop moments for you. Just the average life got busy.
Didn't you say you were quitting last week? What are you doing here? Like, checking out the TWAB?
Oh, so you call them out when they come back to I'm petty like that. I'm a little petty.
I keep my mouth shut. I just go, see, I knew you weren't going to quit. Oh, yes. I knew you couldn't quit.
That's what I said. Like, you coming back. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not even paying you no mind. You're going to be right back. It always happens. It's cyclical.
This is a break, not a breakup. Don't kid yourself.
Exactly.
We were on a break. For those who watched that reunion recently.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. No, one thing I'm sorry. You got.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, like, one thing I liked that you said was one in reference to like the rare like items and ornaments, like you said, Trials of the Nine, stuff like that, and that's the stuff. Like, I really miss a lot. D1 had a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, not that you should have been there, but like kind of stuff that was very hard to obtain and great show-off pieces that are not in Eververse, so to speak, right? So I like seeing that stuff. What I was going to ask you, though, is like, because again, being that your history is unique, this is the first game, really, and it's Destiny, and then, you know, the online experience. So it's like, what was it for you? What was the initial hook? Was it the look? Was it the gunplay? What was it? Just community and being able to play with your friends, like MMO in a console space? I know the easy answer is all of them, but my question is like, which was the first hook that you're like, man, I really love this about Destiny?
I remember the first day that I played the game. Oh my God. It was a Cosmodrome. Just something about it. It just took me in. Like, I spent so much time there, like just the first week. Like, you know, you remember way back. I mean, you that's all you could do, really. But I remember that I started out as a hunter, just day one hunter, and I could technically use a sparrow, but I would literally run everywhere. Now you can't make me. I'll like Sparrow 6 feet. Sparrow 6 feet. I'm like, I'm not running for nah.
Oh, the dude is in here.
But-
He loves
Well,
the hunter talk. Yes, the dude salutes you.
Yes.
We got a good mix today. We got one Titan, one Warlock, one Hunter. We got a good variety
There you go.
today.
Hunter life.
Yeah.
Okay, talk your talk, Social.
I'm a hunter main, but then I like start like equally playing my other characters, and I go, you know what? Like, am I really a main? Like, I really love my warlock, and then I get into my Titan. I'm like, yo, Titan's a mood. Like, I gotta be in the mood because that's a mood. But it was the Cosmodrome, and ironically, when I first started Destiny, I was not remotely as social as I am now. It was either I played with that roommate or, well, he wasn't my roommate at the time. We played for like a whole year. He was in New England. I was in New York. And if he couldn't play, then I was basically by myself, just doing whatever. For the first year of Destiny, all we did was play Control. That's all we did is play Control. And I was always like at the bottom of the leaderboard. He was always at the top. Occasionally I would be like second place. I could never like outfrag him.
Yeah, I got people like that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, no. That was basically the first year. And then when I moved here, so I don't know what happened, but he just like stopped playing Destiny. I mean, I know him really well now, so I'm just like, I don't even care. But he stopped playing Destiny, so it was just me. And I had to branch out. I had to figure it out at that point.
Gotcha.
You know, we had mutual friends that played Destiny just on a different like platform. Like I had a friend that did PS3. I was on PS4. He and I pitched the money together to get her a PS4.
Nice.
And so I would play with her. He wasn't playing that often anymore. And so I went from one thing to another, and eventually I was raiding.
Oh, wow.
Eventually.
Wow. What was the first raid that you did? I got to cut you for a second. What was the first raid that you attempted?
I don't even remember. It was Vault of Glass. Good choice. I fell off. Do you remember that artwork of like Atheon, and you see the one guardian falling? That was me way back in the day. I just go, yo, how did wait, where did he get that photograph? That actual photograph of me I'm not even kidding.
Yep.
How was the Vogue jumping puzzle with all those little platforms? Did that treat you well, or was that a bit of fun?
To this day, I hate jumping puzzles.
Oh man, you're really a warlock, girl. Like you got a warlock spirit.
No. Granted, okay, I spend so much time on a warlock that when I get on a hunter and I make the jump, I'm like, I forgot my stompies. That's what happened. I forgot my stompies. I put them back on, and I'm
your
the
exotics
last one
over there.
I'm the last one to get there. Like, shut up.
I'm always the last. I know the feeling. feeling.
Nurad said the Whisper mission, I'm sure, was just your favorite things ever.
Oh, totally, quote unquote, speed running that thing all day. Yeah, okay. Remember King's Fall, Dick Wall?
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the PG rating is gone.
Yeah, we're going. And actually, the ship one before. Yeah, we good. The ship one before that used to get me because there was that one specific jump as you got further on where you had to do.
Did you have to like clear the ship? Basically, I know what you're talking about.
Used to terrorize, and they would laugh at me. They'd all be on the other side doing emotes. Cog's not here. Cog can't make it. He's a warlock, and I'm like, oh man. But continue.
Did you ever make it to the top of Fellwinter's Peak? Either of you?
Yes. I was proud of myself. Once.
And I would never, I'm not going to lie, I would never go back and do it again.
Ever.
Just the one time. There you go.
Yeah.
One time, grab the fragment, I'm done.
Yep. I tell you, ascending, I hate it. Descending, I was fine. But yeah, trust me, I know the feeling. What you got, you?
Oh, man.
But also wanted to ask you, just as Destiny has been your main game, what have been some of the highlights over the course of like the franchise? I mean, we got 7 years. What are a couple, just like two big standout moments that you've had, whether it's been on stream, just you and, the friend on the couch, or, your friend and roommate before? Like, what are a couple moments that like really cemented this franchise, like took it from this was amazing to like, almost jumping out of your chair through the ceiling moment? Like, what are a couple of those just really cool ones that you've been through? Because this is your game, so now I got to know what sits at the top.
Good point.
I don't even know if I can pull a moment other than like a couple moments that just kind of showed me how far I've come. When I started this game, I was just like, I have nobody to play with. If people were mean to me, I was like, oh, look, my internet went out. I was that person. The anxiety was real, and I'd be like, I'm out. Now it would take a lot for me to feel that kind of pressure. What I would say is the top moments would be the 2 times that I've managed to clutch a GM. They're not my strong suits. They're kind of I'm kind of destination fucked at this point. But yeah, especially the second instance. I ended up in the 1v1 for 30 minutes with the Proving Grounds boss. Whoa. When he had like a 3rd health, and I have never felt so like terrified in my life.
Yeah, that'll keep you on the edge of your seat for a minute.
Yeah, it was just jumping back and forth with a sniper and just trying to focus up while freaking out. Chat was on they just like I gotta go, but I can't look away. I can't leave. And it was just the most intense moment I've ever had in this like game. And I managed to complete it, and it was incredible. The other one was another clutch, but it was like a Savathun song, and my partner Sabe, he died. Our help had died right before him. And the Shrieker is just railing me with like the purple orbs, and it's like I'm like 2 orbs away from a well, and I'm like, I need this well. And I'm just panicking to get that well, trying to shoot anything at it because it's got like micro health. So it's like, come on, like I can't, because we've been wiping for a while. Like we needed to complete this. Yeah. And I basically traded with the Shrieker, and we got the completion. And
nice.
Yeah, we got this person, their conqueror, but it was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, those are the tough ones. Those are
one of those make it or break it moments. But overall, I would just say it's like all the friends I made along the way. It's just changed my life. You know, I tend to just adapt to the changes in this game. It's just so much more to me than that. It's what I get away from my life to. You know, what could be worse than what doesn't make you happy versus what just makes you feel like, man, I'm coming home. Literally. Yeah. So it's like there aren't like moments. There's just it's just a feeling. It's home.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's one of those things. It's like the minute, even if I've gone for a little while, the minute you fire up that title screen. And you hear the music, and then you get it, and you're in space, and it's just like, it's like I'm back. So I definitely hear that. One thing you mentioned, I'm sorry. Oh no, it's fine. There were several. There were like maybe like a couple like DLCs that were just like they were just powerful. I think we can all agree that the Taken King was just like there hasn't really been anything since that's been that huge, like that hits home, like. But I try not to hold on to like comparing everything to that because it's almost like nothing will ever amount to that. But I think that was a huge like turning. That really turned everything around. I think that's when things actually hit a new level, and I was like, oh my god, I'm really invested in this game. Absolutely, absolutely.
Like me and my roommate, we ran through that first mission. And that other friend, she was on PS3. We hadn't gotten her the PS4 yet. The one we got her was actually the White Destiny edition. So she got the nice. Really pretty one. So she wasn't there yet. But she's sitting on a Skype call, right? with us, just listening to us like screaming and laughing because we were getting booped. There was like the failings behind the door, all those surprises. She had already done it, but we were experiencing it for the first time because we would work all day and come home and like it could be midnight and we're going to be up all night just playing this game. That was the thing we did every single day. We would just hate our lives in the daytime and play at night. And that was our ritual.
I love it. I love it.
That I think that was monumental to me. Like I'm still friends with him. I'm more or less friends with her, but that was a huge like, oh wow, this game just evolved.
Yes. No,
Like this is like I love this.
you're on fire. You're on fire.
It kind of took that kind of shaky start, and then Crota's in. People were like, I don't know, it feels a little short, and people started beaming on it. And then you had Trials of Osiris come in, start to make the PvP kind of really hit. And Twitch started to grow, and then Taken King was just like, yeah, we're here and we're staying. And it was like that, as you said, the cement that was like, it's going to be here for the foreseeable future. And they've stuck with it. And it's kind of one of those, I have friends that started with Vault of Glass, played some Taken King, but a lot of them have fallen off. And I've made so many like new great friends, met so many people on the podcast. My co-host now 152 episodes later, of course. Like, but it does have, and I was working on something yesterday and somebody said it pretty well. When Destiny comes and whenever it leaves, the community that it will have built will be something that continues to last.
Yeah.
And that's just something special. So it's like what it does for people is always something different, whether it's friends that you make, whether you start a podcast, where you've done a YouTube channel, whether you've gotten to content creation, whether it is just truly your escape where you can go in, have fun, you have friends to play with outside of like, if your job day to day sucks and it's paying the bills, but this is what can balance that side of the equation for you. Those are some of the stories, if Bungie ever hears these types of things, that those are the ones that probably hit them the most, as opposed to, oh, cool, I started a YouTube channel. Cool, that's nice. But it's like, hey, it's like, this is my escape from like a tough situation in life, and this is what gets me through it. Those are the really true ones to hit. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I want to double down too, because on two parts. One, the Taken King part, because I agree completely with Silver saying, because, you know, as a Destiny fan, you know, we kind of got ridiculed, like, oh, it's overrated, and I don't know why you like that game, and the narrative's not good, and all these different attacks I would get for like, why are you still playing it? And like Taken King, game is dead. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, and Taken King was the moment that it validated Destiny to the masses, because people at that point were like, oh no, this is amazing. And then on top of that, you have this great, you know, transition from the story into the Taken War, you know, the whole thing, obviously the raid. It was just perfectly done. And let's be honest, like it was a clutch time. Like Destiny, you know, really needed that shot in the arm to be taken seriously by the masses. And it came back in such full force. I see my entire friend list playing that thing. And then the second thing I wanted to mention, which E kind of touched on, obviously, is the community and what you said, Silver. And just like, you know, it became an event. Like you log on, you got that group that you play with consistently, and the fields, and you know, you're learning about this person's day. Like Destiny is really about, it is the friend game. I know the joke was like, but it is, because you jump on and it's just like, again, and then you meet new people and so on and so forth. And to me, again, I know we do a Destiny podcast, but there's nothing like it. It's just one of the most unique, fun, communal experiences. And the question now that I'm leading to after me rambling was that, sorry, E, but
no,
I did it too. No, it's funny.
Yeah. It's just funny. She got the emotions popping. But the question I had to ask you was just like, you know, from a community standpoint, you said, you know, a lot of it, you know, you playing, doing something in life that's annoying you, and then you come back, you playing this game to kind of get away. Like, what was some of those like friends and moments from a community standpoint that meant a lot to you regarding Destiny?
It's strange because there is no like linear, there's no way to like linearly track it. Like I went from PS4 to PC, and that transition happened kind of because I had no choice. Like I kind of lost friends on PS4, and PC was actually my final shot before I quit Destiny. I almost quit Destiny because I at that point I couldn't handle playing the game by myself.
Yes.
My former roommate made a joke way back in the day, and he's like, "You ruined me. I can't play this game by myself.
Yeah.
You ruined me. I can't play this without you." And I'm like, I'm not sorry. But PC was my shot. I had a few people that had moved on to PC the second it dropped. And I started building from there. I started being in Twitch streams a lot. Like it went from like almost like 0 to like 90. Like I was suddenly like just checking out streams like crazy and actually, you know, meeting people, you know, through their friends. Like it like started with one person and then I guess I just met all of his friends and I met their friends. And from there I ended up on Twitter and it just like, I'm just like, I don't know how this happened. It's just incredible. Because the way it started was I was just so like socially awkward, like to the extreme. I would, if I like look back, I never would have thought that any of this would have ever happened. This game has made it possible for me to meet people that I never would have met any other way.
Facts.
You know, especially given where I live, it's like really hard to meet people as it is. So the fact that I know people from all over the world is incredible.
It's dope. Love it.
I can't wait to meet a good chunk of them next year.
Oh,
like,
you know it. Oh.
that'll be my first convention. Actually,
it's going down.
A lot of firsts. We got a lot of firsts.
Silver.
I was like, it's the only game I know. I mean, I guess Warframe might have their thing too, but it's like it's the only game I know that's had a convention. Shout out to Gathalion, Broman, Kevin, all those guys that started it and stuck with it. That has just like exploded, and they've made it a huge event down there. But man, 2019 when we went, and you know, podcast wasn't that old. We've had I don't even know how many episodes since. The number of guests that we've had, the number of people that we've actually got a chance to talk to. It's like there's not going to be enough time in the entire trip down there to have a decent conversation with everybody we've had on, because it's been so much fun. So
that's my biggest fear, is that I'll be like, yo, where you at? Let's meet up. Let's get a drink. Let's do this.
It's going down.
I shamelessly wore my Bonta shirt and it helped. So
yeah.
Like I'm probably going to do the same thing, but I'm probably going to be like, yo, somebody's going to have to keep track of me down there, because I'm going to be like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
But I mean, that's the fun part. Like, if you see somebody and they can chat, just chat away.
Actually, the funny part is I probably will be like, oh my God, is that Glad? Oh, I can't go say hi to Glad. I can't do it.
One thing I will say is,
you have one chance to say hi to people and you just like, oh God, I'm shy. I can't do it.
I mean, I was like, believe me, I have busted on my shell over the course of my life so far. But I was like,
he's come a long way, y'all.
I was like, I was much worse before he met me. Trust me, growing up, it was terrible. But that's one of those things. Like, I don't think anybody I met there was anything but ultra nice. So I was like,
oh, I 100% believe that.
Take the second, shake their hand. You may not have that much time. People get swamped and stuff like that, but everybody was ultra nice and awesome to say hello to. So it's like, just take the second and do it. And if they got to run, they got to run. But it's still worth just to say, hey, at least I got to meet you and say hello and thanks for doing all that you do, whatever it is.
It's ultimately something that you know would not have happened if all of these things didn't come together to just bring you to this moment. Like, it's incredible. You know, it's like I would have met you. I wouldn't even known who you are. I do remember for years. It's ironic. I wanted to get into gaming, and my parents just wouldn't buy me, a console. They wouldn't buy me anything, and I would be like, I would ask my friends, like, what should I get? Should I get like a PS4, a PlayStation, or an Xbox? And I could never get a straight answer. I realized why now.
The world's a bit ridiculous. Yeah.
So I was like, if I can't get a straight answer or a way for me to figure out what I want, then it's like not even worth looking into. And it wasn't until someone literally was like, yo, get this. And I'm like, PS4. That's what I'm getting.
That was the place to go. That was the place to go for Destiny.
That was the actual connection that I'm like, okay, that's it. This is where I'm going to start.
Yeah.
I did get an Xbox eventually in D1, and I was running trials on like 2 platforms, and it got a little crazy, for a while there.
This is pre-cross save days.
God, I know.
Ooh, salute to you. That's hardcore. That is hardcore. I don't have my
Xbox anymore. I like lent it to my friend and never got it back. But the point being, it's complicated. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I wish I had it now, but crossplay is coming. I mean, could you have imagined that? Oh, me either. Yeah. Me either.
That's awesome. So I mean, Destiny has been a big piece for us, but to be your first game and You picked a good one to start with.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you've been through the bumps in the road. You almost lost, and then PC, and then just the journey you've been on from this one game as your only game. I don't know if any other game's going to live up to this. So just remember that when you step out to other things and be like, some of these, they're going to be smaller, shorter, not the legs, not as cool. You're going to have to experiment a little more because, Destiny set the bar kind of high with everything it's been doing.
It did. I'm well aware of that. That's why when people go like, oh, hey, like you should play this, every time a game comes out and people go like, yo, you should play this, I just go like, nah, I want to fall behind on seasonal stuff.
She's like, I'm good.
I'm good. Like, I'm like, like sometimes friends will be like, what if I buy it for you? Please don't do that. Because now I'll feel bad that I definitely don't want to do it.
You sitting there collecting dust? Oh, man.
I'll be like, oh, God, please don't spend the money. But no, I absolutely know that I'm completely spoiled because, and just from being where I am, watching everybody else just like, whenever they get frustrated with this game, like the PvP community, they get frustrated and they want to quit and move on to another game. They don't find what they've experienced here anywhere else. And that's why they don't leave. They actually come back because we're all addicted, We are.
It is what it is. As long as we own it, we're fine.
I did kind of find there was another game that was a single player that I did enjoy a lot. For some reason, it had a similar Destiny feel. At least to me, it did. And then at one point, I actually didn't want to play Destiny just as much. I don't remember why. I got into Infamous Second Son. Oh yeah, and it just had good movement and a good feel. I never finished it, but it was it was great, and I got pretty far into it. But
nice.
Yeah, that was like probably the only time that I experimented. Between that and The Division, these are games that kind of like, okay, like I can see myself dedicating time to this. However, with a full-time job and me essentially like full-time streaming, really, because I enjoy it so much. I can't share Destiny's space with another game.
Oh, it's very selfish.
It's hard. Yeah.
Oh, it's very selfish.
I've missed out on a lot, and with some of the way the seasonal model's been, it's given me a chance to play other stuff, and I've enjoyed the variety. But I was like, there was a time where it was just mostly it. So for me, it's been healthier, as it has been 7 years, and a lot of things to like get a little variety for a mix. But every time, the variety has helped Destiny continue to feel a bit more fresh, which I've enjoyed. When I do pop it back in on Tuesday and Expunge hits like with a new mission, or I play for a little while, it's not just like I'm bashing my head against the wall for a while after 7 years. Like little breaks are good. So it's like, we've said that like weeks and months and years at this point. It's like the points where it does feel a little long, take a little break, try something else. And then when you come back, it's going to hit a little bit better. Just it may need to breathe for a second. So
especially for the people, that's all angry. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say we got some things that have happened this week.
Yeah, we got some things to talk about.
So first one quick, I do want to just like literally blow through the TWAB because it's not much. Iron Banner is coming back, and your tokens are going to work correctly this time. So you guys are going after the new machine gun, the new shotgun, and trying to farm for those, finish up the quest. That will be accessible on Tuesday, the 8th. So that will be going for the week. So if you're trying to get some new rolls, I do like the way those weapons look. The new ones, the styling, the tan coloring, the wraps and stuff. Just I liked what they did with those. That was pretty cool. They also did have a big giant fashion show on the TWAB. So check out some people who had a lot of fun with their gear. Transmog doing its thing. Outside of the whole transmog farming issue that we all know takes probably way too long, the appearance screen and the way you can toy around with everything and really look at what's there has been really nice to see.
Yeah.
A couple other quick updates. They did a photo sensitivity notice just for anybody who's like light sensitive to flashes or anything. That's a nice thing to see them put in the front of the game. I've seen a couple people specifically call that one out. They also mentioned for the teleporting enemies update, they are actually looking to basically increase the bandwidth of their servers. So hopefully that's a little less. They said it's not going to cause that to be completely eliminated, but working with servers, trying to get a little more bandwidth for data and access and things of that nature, it's supposed to help that a little bit. They did also touch on the PC performance update. It kind of comes down to developing at home. They did not have their PC configuration like test rigs and all that they had before to make sure things were as because PC always has an infinite number of combinations. You put
Right.
parts together, it's going to be different, even if it's just
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
So they didn't have their specific setup at the studio to be able to do all this. So testing from home, they did what they could, but
Gotcha.
that's where the issues have been coming from, specifically on PC. It's more for some people, less of an issue for others. They're continuing to do optimizations, but I think they wanted to, it's nice to see them address that
Address that.
they are slowly doing iterations to it, but the main reason was they didn't have their previous situations before. So it made some sense.
Makes sense. The pandemic. It actually, I'm glad they said that. What it is, we forget, that in the background, what they're dealing with, with these type of issues. But yeah, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we got to talk about the big bomb that dropped the stasis nerfage into some of it into the ground, some of it good, bad, and others. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts if you had a chance to play, if what you've heard, what the community's saying so far. How is the world of the changes of stasis, the hotfix that happened yesterday? How's it feeling? Have you played any PvP? Where are you guys sitting at right now with stasis and typically PvP side of things?
Where you at, Silver? Did you get a chance to jump in?
Admittedly, I've been playing. If I had to do Crucible, I've been playing mainly momentum control. So
Okay.
I feel like I've stayed out of it.
Mhm.
But everything that I have heard is like, oh yeah, Stasis is basically dead, and I'm like, okay, so y'all are happy now, right? I don't have to hear hashtag nerf Stasis, whatever whatever the hashtag was. I'm like, y'all are happy now. Like everybody seems to say that Crucible is now playable again. Like they can jump back in, and I'm like, okay, like. They seem to be happy. They're all like asking each other, like, like, can I come back? Should I come back? Is it worth coming back?
Safe?
And I'm like, and I'm just sitting here like, oh my God. Oh my God. They seem happy. And if they're not, then it's like, I don't know what you want, man. But I've been having fun playing laser tag. That's just me. I'm very simple.
Oh, momentum
I'm
control,
very-
laser tag, that's all that's in there.
Yes. I'm just very simple. Prometheus lens, bring it back to that one weekend where Prometheus lens was broken. That was a fun weekend. And so I get a reminder of that.
Mhm.
And so I just go in there and do my pinnacle and just have fun.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna defer to you, E, because I have not got a chance to touch the PvP portion since the nerf. But I'm hearing things. But have you jumped in at all, or what have you heard?
I was busy with something yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to jump in post-patch.
Same for me.
But from what I gathered from tweets from a lot of the high-level PvP guys, and we'll get to the big firing range stuff a little bit later, but general tweets I'm seeing from a lot of people, some people said, hey, I went through a match and I got frozen like once or twice in 5 matches or something, and I'm seeing stuff like that, which is hopefully, as you said, Silver, what everybody seems to be going for. I know the major changes are high-level changes are just about the freeze. The non-super freezes, you honestly can't break out of them. They're so short. I see people almost still like sliding through some of the abilities. Basically, unless it's a super freeze, which still should be substantial, your super should still be a noticeable thing that you got to work for and should have some weight to it. The normal freezes, the abilities, the shurikens, the melees, that stuff is going to be much less. The slower is, less accuracy flinch. The movement speed's a little less. Like when you read through all of that stuff, it does seem substantial. And then from what I'm seeing on Twitter, there seems to be a decent amount of positivity. Now, I don't know if it's like 100% there.
Okay.
But it definitely seems to be, this is the biggest chunk that they've done. Like they kind of brought a couple abilities down for certain classes, like big outliers. Started with the Warlocks, then some Hunter, and then some Titan. They kind of went through. This is the bigger overall, really reeling it in to try and see how it feels in comparison to the light subclasses.
Right.
And then when I see pictures on Twitter of almost all light subclasses in PvP in a match, and you're just like completely floored, like there's not a lot of stasis. It's different. So
okay. So the energy's different. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like my one worry is that hopefully these effects were mostly focused to PvP.
Right.
Because the crowd control effects in Stasis overall has never been like OP in PvE. Stasis has never been that crazy in PvE. It has some crowd control. It has some support. My Titan especially has never felt like the super is great in PvE. Like it really doesn't feel, the Warlock seems nicer to spread and burst damage and stuff.
I really like Shadebinder a lot.
Yeah. Sadly, like my Titan has never been feeling, because it's like you got to do the slam and then you got to break the crystals, and just trying to like, it never feels like it gets as much. So that's why I was like, I haven't played Stasis that much since it came out, really. I haven't even been farming the fragments and everything that much, just because I've been enjoying the other classes a bit more because I do more PvE. But as for like the hunters and stuff, especially for you, Silver, how much Stasis have you been using even in PvE or PvP? Is it like part of your, bag that you use, or have you been, not as big on it? Where have you been with Stasis so far?
Admittedly, I remain in a variety. I'll use Goldie, I'll use Spectral. I tend to neglect Arcstrider like 100%. But I'll play the other three depending on how I'm feeling, but I try to stay off of Stasis. Partially because of the perception, and I don't want to get too attached to it. Overall, I do like the shatter dive movement, and that's mainly why I like it. I don't really like the super itself. I just like the movement. But I would mainly play Spectral or Goldie. I like those two the most, especially since I Goldied a lot in D1. So it's like, man, like I haven't like properly done this in so long. But I've also been playing other characters. I've been on my Warlock a lot, and I've been basically crutching Chaos Reach. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's right. Get your Camille away.
So I've been so
hard to go
far
wrong
from
with that one.
I've been so far from Stasis that it's almost like I haven't been like living in this quote unquote problem. In terms of Stasis, like it can be very annoying, or it could be very annoying. But it would just be like, all right, next game. And I would just queue up the next game and move on from there. In PvE, it was just so helpful. And that is also my biggest fear, that, the changes are not separate. And it's going to be something that you're not going to choose to use in a Grandmaster, especially since that's coming up. And,
right.
That's where I'm going to be like 100%. And if, Stasis is like not really going to be as helpful, like that's going to be kind of big sad. Like I'm hoping that that's not the case.
No, for you.
But from what I've seen so far, a lot of the things that people complained about are just not effective anymore. Like shurikens, it's just not remotely the same. It's just not the same. Movement can counter, the slowing effects, which is what people wanted. People wanted you to be able to just dodge right out of it, so if you were quick enough to do it, you could just get out of it. And I can see why people would not choose Stasis once they realize, like, wow, I literally can't trap you anymore. If I like throw this at you, I better follow that up with something that'll kill you instantly, because, otherwise it's like I did it for nothing. But Titan seems to be the most affected from what I've heard and from what I've seen, and people seem to be happy. They seem to be happy,
Yeah, like Ascendant Nomad has a tweet basically stating
what Nomad say?
Stasis feels like a conscious choice to use and feels completely alien from how it used to be before, with strengths and in capital letters and weaknesses. That means that there could very well be a skill gap emerging with the subclass itself. It's no longer free, and that's a win. I think it finally, and if you listen to Fireteam, not Fireteam Chat, whole different one, but Fireteam Chat 300 is going to be launching today.
That's going to be crazy.
Go watch that episode. The last one, their last, like they may come back for sporadic ones, but it's their last weekly show. So check that out. But also, Firing Range with Fallout, Cool Guy, Merc, and all those guys. Drewski and Cammy. Sorry, I got them all. And they had two of the Bungie guys on there, and they went through. It was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's a long one, and they got a lot of information out. And Kevin Yanis, one of the Sandbox leads, pretty much stated at first they started Stasis building it up to say, hey, we want to, freeze you. But then it was frozen, but you basically didn't do much damage to them. So then they kept beefing it up and beefing it up. And then by the time it basically got ready for launch, it was so strong. They knew it going out the door that it had to get reeled back in. So they knew before it launched. But again, there's also development cycles and testing and figuring out works to work on bringing it back down. So it is a time sink for them to do it both ways. And unfortunately, there's a point of how did it get so far before it got reeled back in, or how did it get released and be like, can you do like just a minus 10% on everything button? Like do something. If they knew it was that busted, So they did acknowledge, like, yeah, this is a little too strong before it came out. So they knew this stuff was coming. I think they were trying to figure out what was going to settle into the meta, what things were going to be the really big outliers, and they nailed those a little quicker, closer to Beyond Light. But they also said they've learned a lot. We all have a hunch there's going to be future subclasses. We don't know, but we have a feeling there may be. And while they didn't confirm them because the snipers would have shot him on stream directly, they did basically state that the launch of Stasis itself is something they really said they've learned a lot from. And they want to make sure that as things come out in the future, either they have maybe, and it's, you can speculate, but it's like maybe there's quicker ways to change it. Maybe it's built in a way that they can do quicker adjustments, or kind of go through and realize maybe more testing, whatever is needed. But they definitely have learned in Stasis's launch, because community's been up in arms and only building up until this point. So hopefully it does feel a little bit better. Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good listen also as well. Firing range that was last night.
Yeah,
it's like they uploaded it everywhere fast because it was so requested. So it's out there. But it does seem Stasis is not what it was. So go check out PvP. Momentum controls its own animal. You don't even see abilities in there. It's all laser beams and other stuff. But normal PvP, we'll be curious to see the feel of trials this weekend. Cheaters is one thing. That's a different animal. But Stasis, abundance, and trials, I'll be very curious to watch Twitter this weekend and see how it goes.
I wanted to jump in. I that's actually great information here that you caught that from Firing. Salute to them. That's really informative. I did not realize that. I got to jump in with PvP. I do play PvP a lot, and I want to see how it is. But I try. If you're saying Nomad is making, shout out to Nomad, because I really respect his opinion and a lot of other people in PvP community. If they're saying, look, it got that work, it's been brought down, it's now in line and requires more of a skill gap as opposed to an easy win with certain situations, certain abilities, I'm for that. For me, I got a confession on PvE. I love Stasis in PvE. Since Stasis has come out, I ain't gonna lie, Silver, I've been shade binding Warlock like crazy. I love Frost Pulse with the my rift that freezes. I love the other one, the one that you make the
little
turret.
Buddies?
Yeah, the turret there.
The little buddies.
Yeah, and I'll make trap spot. I'm using it in Vaulted Glass. When what you call it comes out, the harpies and all that stuff comes out when the Templar phase. When you defending the confluxes, I got traps, and then I got a thing where I get my finisher back, I get my grenade back, and I absolutely, it is really good at difficult content as far as Nightfalls as well. So I've been crutching on that thing.
The term that they used was basically giving you a chance to breathe.
Yes.
It gives that to you.
Yes.
So if you take that away, it's like, man.
So that
brings me back to the whole, when they mentioned we have no intention of separating PvP and PvE sandboxes, and I was like, okay, but I really hope that you're not but you're not bringing it down so far that now this is not viable for PvE. And how do you create a balance that can appease both sides?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Because from my understanding, these nerfs for the most part seem to be affecting PvP. But again, I need to jump in there, test it again, see what's going on. Because I remember in the past when they did make some changes to my shade binder, I was like, hold on, my melee thing don't feel as good in PvE, and certain things didn't feel as good. So I definitely want to see what it is. But I definitely want to shout out because I do love it in PvE. It's, to me, it's a ton of fun. And it's, like you said, gives you that chance to breathe, especially when things are over. And especially the aspect that I have the one where you freeze one, when they die, it seeks out another one, and you can chain it and start doing crazy. And the new build now with the shards that give you armor, PvE, you could get really crazy. So I want to see. I'm going to really put it through its paces this week now that the nerf is out on PvP, and then also test to make sure my PvE is good. Just make sure I'm okay.
It's hard to know for sure because, for example, I haven't used it in the raid. It's just not what I use. I actually had to do a raid for my hunter, so I definitely I wouldn't use it on a hunter. But there's just no real difficult content to to try it out on. Like if GMs were out right now, you'd go out right now and test it, see how different it feels. Last season, Stasis had a special role where if something's affected by Stasis,
Right.
it gives you a buff, if you were to use a Goldie, any light, subclass, you got a buff, you did more damage.
Yep.
Forgot what that was called. Oh my goodness.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So stuff like that. Like I just hope to not see, those possibilities reduced.
Right.
In the future, because they did mention that this patch wasn't even supposed to come out right now. They put a rush on it, and a tiny part a tiny voice in the back of my head's kind of like, I really hope that in trying to appease the community to bring this ASAP, that we didn't kind of hurt ourselves down the line on other changes that might need to happen. I mean, they did warn us, like, don't expect this to happen like emergency patches, because this was. We really pushed to make this happen. So, they do care. They do care.
Good point, man.
No,
absolutely. And like I said, we have to see how this thing plays out. But,
absolutely.
So far, so good. What else we got here?
One other thing that came from firing range yesterday seemed to spark a little bit of contention. There were different takes and there were different thoughts about this one. And it seems to be that when it comes to Deep Stone Crypt, the strategy that started to pop out was, shout out to King Allen. Thank you for popping in.
Salute.
A lot of people really got into the double slug shotgun meta that started to be used with Divinity, especially, and then for. Is it Tanix? I'm not even thinking I'm getting the name. Is that Tanix, the boss at the end of Deep? Okay,
Tanix.
yeah.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah.
So that started to have that one, and then it's the idea of, basically, the quick switching of the weapons to continually fire and pump out the highest DPS, and then there's this like reload quote glitch. Some people say it's glitch. Some people say it's skill. And that was actually addressed in the podcast, and they said, "What do you think about this?" Quick switch or quick swapping glitch per se, or whatever you call it. And they said, well, since quick draw has been removed, since for shotguns and that kind of piece is there, then we're really at a point to where we're probably going to be looking at that. And it really seemed to spark a lot of attention because some people were really kind of annoyed that a high skill ability or something that you can eventually learn how to quick swap weapons, you're sprint canceling. And that's why some people called it a glitch. And then some people were like, you've been able to do this in basically first person shooters for years and years and years. Right. It's not new to Destiny. It's just a way to hit a button to cancel an animation and then be able to basically do things quicker. Yeah. So some people practice it and get good at it. I've seen people on controller. I saw somebody who, I think it was using
I'm not one of those people. You'll see me awkwardly go one shotgun to the other, to the other, to the other. It's almost embarrassing, but I'm not one of those people. And it's like, don't make fun of me. I'm using a double shotgun. I'm doing my best.
She's like, I'm doing my part.
I'm honestly just too lazy to learn it. It might be a skill thing, or it's just like, why do I need to do all that?
But I mean, and that's one of those things. But some of that stuff is stemmed from people trying to do low man raids and truly having to go as efficient as possible. And they're going to figure these things out. I mean, shout out to Cheese Forever. Shout out to Chevy, Glad, the guys who really go hard on the low mans, the solos. There's certain things they have to try and do just to make those things happen. And Glad had a pretty decent little thread that I had sent over that I sent it to you directly. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave out a couple of the choice words to you guys, but I want to read it.
You going to leave out the spice?
The spice will be beeped. So every time Bungie removes tech like slug shotgun swapping and Izzy, for example, like Izanagi's Burden, they're slowing down the game. Aren't they trying to move away from that in both PvP and PvE? They are stripping away the reward from players who put in practice. Let people master your game, leaving that word out. What's this not accessible to everyone he's hearing? You can literally swap shotguns and sprint on every platform and input device. Can't do it? Well, tough. Practice. That mentality is not great. It's like if all can't do it, then you can't either. Swapping weapons and sprint canceling has been around for ages in shooters. It's basic stuff. If you put slug shotguns in both kinetic and energy slots, people will abuse them. And maybe if bosses didn't stand there during the DPS phase and say, shoot me, you'd see less of it. Stop calling it a glitch. It's not a glitch. So kept it clean. But that's the idea is, and this honestly like almost stems back to, the Sekiro. For what it, like, I'm a huge Souls player since I started my first one. I'm hooked. I can't stop playing them. Played Mega Man, got my head just crushed, and mentally just like every time you lost, you're like, start the whole level over, got to learn it. But it was Mega Man in itself is a short game. Where's the length is learning the game and overcoming the difficulty. So same principle applies here. So like they try and make raids and they walk a delicate line. Contest is going to be a harder version. You got to be a little more efficient or really be on to be able to make it through damage phases. But you also have a point where they're trying to make raids somewhat not completely awful for a decent amount of people. I mean, still, 15, 20% of people, maybe a high number that do raids, but they don't want to make them completely awful for everybody, and master raids may be the option to that. But when it comes to the higher skill choices, the higher skill abilities and things like that, long intro aside, I was honestly your guys curious, just overall in your gaming history and hearing about this and then things about Sekiro, do you think stuff like this should be like taken away? Do you think it should be left in there? Do you think things like this give people something to strive for? Or do you think it's a way for people like to abuse the game? So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Gaming in general for one of our audience is just Destiny. Like Cognito and I have played a lot of games over the years, but either way, it's still the idea of how much time and practice do you need to put in to be good, and how high should the skill ceiling actually be? How much is there to strive for, or how much should there be? Silver, what are your thoughts? Because, you sit there and run Grandmasters all the time. There's people who don't even think about those. So, again, when it comes to learning things and PvE, like you can learn, but it's like even skills and stuff like that. What are your thoughts just on, skill ceilings and abilities like this and just functions in the game?
Believe it or not, I do run GMs as soon as they come out until they're done. I've actually looked at the stats, like, oh, how many completions do I have? And I don't know if you've ever seen that website. I don't remember what it's called, but I've looked at it.
Yep.
It shows you completions, time spent, your quickest GM, how many attempts, so failed attempts, and I'll look at that number and be like, holy crap, we actually wiped that many times. And so there is a massive learning curve until, me and Sabe get it down to where people are going, holy crap, how are we flying through this? There's been maybe a couple where it was just not as easy, easy breezy, but we end up learning the timing on all the enemy waves and how to systematically just bring out the enemies. Like, people think that it's hard. It is hard, but it's like if you're letting everything just fly loose, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to die. Right. For example, Fallen Saber, he actually figured this out, not me. The war set, the beginning part.
Yes.
There are 3 different points where you have to get off to spawn each champion. You kill each champion, you move to the other side,
right.
Then you bring up the timer again, bring out the next champion, take care of that. And so you're literally killing things in waves without overwhelming yourself. And it's just systematic, and that's how you just get through it.
Right.
And we have to figure these things out. Usually he figures them out more than me, but once I get into the rhythm of just the timing, I make less mistakes. I still make plenty of mistakes, but ultimately make less mistakes, and you're able to bring someone through that needs help, because that's the ultimate goal, is to help people. I tend to look at it as more like I'm gonna be living in this GMs whether you play with me or not. But I may as well help you while we're at it, especially since now there are weapons that people want to farm.
Right.
Like Palindrome last season, that was a big one. That was a very big one, especially for double pally.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I think that there should be, it should be rewarding for people that actually put in the time. Some people will be like, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. And then they just don't do it.
Right.
in the case of the quick draw glitch, I know what tweet you're talking about, so I did read through the whole thread, and I do remember, him saying that, and I do remember thinking, he wants people to be able to master the game, because people like him have in a way mastered the game.
Right.
And it is kind of a strange way of thinking that if not everybody can do it, then nobody should do it.
Right.
There should be people that are at the top. And I feel like people like him have inspired people to get, take a chance and actually do low man activities. I don't know if this is something that I've noticed more over the, the last year or so, but more people want to do low mans more than ever. People are going in, they're getting it done, and it's fantastic. I have not personally done it, but it's because of people like him. And if you're taking these things away, it makes it a lot harder overall for everybody. It could be even more discouraging for people wanting to, get something like a 2-3 man completion, under their belt. It might just be one of those things where it really is only possible for the best of the best, but like, do you want to necessarily put that so out of reach that like nobody can do it? So I don't see the harm in the glitch, to be honest. I think somebody else mentioned that it's not necessarily the glitch. It's more like, why can you do damage to a boss at such close proximity without consequence? So I don't know. I really don't know. No, I don't know what the answer is.
You're making great points, though. You're still making great points, and a lot of stuff that you said resonates for me. I'll jump in. This is interesting. This is a good one you brought to the campfire, sir. I must commend you. This was something I did not catch, and now that I'm seeing what's going on, I'm seeing the stir in the community, seeing everyone getting up in arms. And you know what? The more I thought about it, and I was like, the signs were on the wall for me. If you're gonna remember this, it was me, you, and Scarrow when we did Garden, and we jumped in to kill Megatron. I call him Megatron. Yeah. At the end.
Fits. I know exactly what you're talking about.
At the time, Izanagi was the rage. Yeah. Izzy was the rage. That you needed Izanagi's burden to get that thing done. If you had that catalyst, you was in pocket. Everybody in the raid team wanted you. That first thing, like, you got Izzy? And remember, the thing with Izzy was, the 4-clip reload into the big bullet. And that was a thing. And I shout out to Scour and them guys. They had that canceling animation thing that they figured out, right? Yep. To be able to shoot faster, to get the DPS cycle, and to really help and drag people through, right? So to me, it's not a glitch. Like because it to me, it's still a skill thing. It's still, they're able to find this thing, and I guess you could say it's an exploit, I guess, but I don't look at it as a glitch. I look at it as not only very few people can do it, and this is how they're able to do the content. The problem is this seems to always butt heads with Bungie's philosophy as far as melting things, right? They just do not like us melting things. They do not. They've shown time and time again they want to do that, and I have to admit, I kind of side with Glad on this, man, because it's like, I don't always agree with Glad all the time, I'll be honest. But with this, I do agree with him. You know what I'm saying? Because, I feel like the low mans, like you said, and this very difficult content, and if the content creators are able to do this stuff to stay alive, and then, like Silver said, a lot of this inspires others to try these type of activities. Now, if you keep cutting the legs off of the hardcore, like, let's be real. Since they did that to Izzy, who's really using Izanagi lately?
Not much. I mean, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It had its time, and then
it's still viable.
It's viable, but it ain't.
It ain't at the top of the list.
Yeah, and this is
really isn't. It's a. Do you have that? There's just many other things that you could use, especially since it's an exotic.
That's
an exotic.
Sniper,
I would rather bring Anarchy and Xeno into the picture than Izanagi at this point. Facts. Especially like Anarchy with Reach and Clear, which I am totally guilty of doing, like literally all the time.
Right.
I'm a bad sniper, so I would definitely was never on the Izanagi train to begin with. But
Me too, I'm
you
terrible.
can
I
pack
love
a
it.
punch, but if you miss that shot,
If you missed
you're
that shot, you was
essentially
hurt.
useless.
Yeah, you were hurt. You were hurt. But
Especially now that it's such a hassle to, it's just not.
yeah.
It's not useless, but it's not what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be. And to me, that's when I get frustrated because I look at things like that. I look at things like Sleeper, once dominant weapons that somehow, because of what they consider people using an exploit or whatever, that now, it's not going to get used. So it's frustrating because I like to see these great raid strategies being implemented. I like Shot the Back for Dead. He's in there. He's part of my raid team. I love to see that stuff. It's skill. I like to see Esoteric and those guys. I like to see that stuff because to me, like you said, Silver, it's almost inspiration. Wow, that could be done. And now you get into like, well, let's try it.
I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
So a raid will come out, right?
Mhm.
Contest modifier will come and go.
Yeah.
Next day, it's been 2-manned.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
facts.
I almost expect it at this point.
Yeah.
I almost expect it. It's like, yep,
Mhm.
that's what I'm talking about, But these are the masters. This is what they do. This is
Right.
what they enjoy.
Right.
They enjoy a specific challenge
Right.
that I feel like once upon a time people didn't even think about doing that.
Right.
But this has been going on since D1. People soloing,
Right.
raid encounters, the same people in a way, but now more people are doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to break the game to make that happen. Otherwise, it's like,
Right. The last point I'm
Yeah.
going to say is just that
yeah,
I look at the result, and the result is you're reloading faster, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't feel you're doing. I mean, yes, it's going to overall extend your DPS. Yes, I'm not going to say it's not. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like this is, oh my God, you're breaking the game. We're not pushing Atheon off a ledge. We're not, what I'm saying? We're not doing something that's so destroying the integrity of the encounter that it is now, I can understand bungee jumping. I just don't see it as that. It's like, okay, I'm reloading. I'm doing something to reload a little faster. That's just me. But I'm gonna give it back to you. Like, where are you at with this now that this is raging throughout the community?
I think the even with these quote unquote glitches, people are not easily clearing these. It's not like everybody's 2-manning, 3-manning. Like,
No,
that's
such
still
a
very
small percentage.
difficult.
Yeah,
It's still very difficult. A lot of people just don't want to. They're not challenged by that.
Right.
For example, like people are different. They just want different challenges. Sabe, my partner, he has solo GMs. I have honestly, as much as I love GMs, I have no interest in doing that. I feel like it's like I don't need to do that. I don't need to wrestle through that. And if I do, then I mean I know it's possible.
Right.
But that's just something that if you really seek to do that for yourself, then you can, take on that challenge. The same thing with like low manning, it almost makes no sense. It's like, oh, why not just bring in a group of friends? Like, no, that's what just some people want. They want that challenge.
Right. Last point, I'm gonna give it back to you.
It's not hurting anybody,
No, I feel you. Last point, I'm gonna give it back. We talking a lot. My bad. But the thing I was gonna say is that also how they can rectify it. I think Sad Freed and Destiny Show, they're all in their corners and they're saying some good points. Is that to me, if they're so against this, right? If you look at your raid challenges, there's things that they say, hey, like you want to do to beat the Templar, do it, make the Templar move 4 times instead of you one phase. You see what I'm saying? Like you can now utilize the challenge modes and the harder modes to still get your intended effect. If you're bunging, you're so angry that they're doing this reload thing, as opposed to taking it away. So this way, there's still ways to strive to get and give reward to the way you want, quote unquote, the encounter done mechanically, so to speak, from a developer standpoint. And to me, everybody's happy. You see what I'm saying? Because the people who want to just play it regular and do what they want to do are fine. And then Bungie's like, hey, we'll give you this great reward, this challenge, this title, this shader, this weapon, or whatever, for doing the challenge mode. And I think everyone kind of wins. But I'll give it to you, E. Like, I'm very curious to see what you think about all this, man.
No, I mean, I'm going to be in a similar boat to you guys. And I mean, it comes from playing stuff like Souls games and that giant debate of what is too hard. And I actually listened to a good podcast. I cannot remember. It could have been Kind of Funny and somebody else, or I don't know. But it was talking about the difference of difficulty versus accessibility.
Right.
And that's a huge difference in difficulty. Like, as you guys are talking about low mans and challenges and master modes are going to come later, the way grandmasters feel, versus allowing people to play content and experience it at all. Depending on, some people have like, there's vision things and there's colorblind and then sound, and there's so many. And then shout out to Xbox for their controller that allows people to play games that might not be able to otherwise.
The adaptive.
All those different things are different ways for people to access a game. That doesn't mean they don't want the challenge. Same thing tends to apply here is people want the challenge, but they also need to be able to have some tools to be able to face that challenge. So, it's one of those things where, to me, like this type of thing, as you said, it's not pulling an internet cable. It's not, pushing these guys off a ledge. It's not that type of stuff. Those are ones where it's like, yeah, that needs fixed because you're literally not doing the encounter. If you're shooting the Templar, somebody's grabbing the relic, somebody's blocking it, and you're doing damage faster. Those are the times where the arbitrary damage phases, and every time I see the hollowed layer strike pop up, it bugs the hell out of me because there's like, is it 7, 8, 9 damage like phases that you've got to go through in that thing, and it's just arbitrary in a normal strike that's 1100 that you could nuke him. I mean, they put something like Cuirass or whatever it is of the Fallen Star in the game. You have Celestial Nighthawk. Now you have Breach and Clear that makes that even more. So it's like they put things in there that do insane amounts of damage. I'm like, yeeting to, Atheon at this point, still going back and popping my damage and flying one more time if I can do it fast enough. And if you do it at the start of Atheon, the way your super comes back, you can do it twice.
Yeah, you can do it
so
twice.
It's like you can get a crap ton. That stuff they seem to be okay with. But then like the reload glitching is something they feel like they need to get after. But they make stuff that does. When I see 462,000 damage on my screen from my super, I'm like, that's a lot. That's more than most things. So it's like, I know it's a bunch. So it's like, it's weird what they tackle first off. Yeah. But as like some of chat saying, he's like, it is nice to see, GDO said, it's like they enjoy watching those things happen. You watch somebody that they're like, the people on Twitch are usually 3: skill, entertainment, or, kind of a freaky combination of both where, and it's like, and then there's one other one I'm forgetting because I heard somebody describe it once really well. It's like you need to be insanely skilled. You could say nothing, but if you're like, going off in every Warzone match and you win everyone, people are going to watch because that's insanely skilled. People can be entertaining. You could watch somebody be the worst person in a game, but if you're laughing, having a good time, cool. And then there's also probably going to be like the informative and some mix of all of those. And the lucky ones have all of that going on. And those are the ones that tend to get to the top. So those are kind of those things where it seems like a weird decision coming from playing difficult games from Mega Man 3 to, shout out to one of my favorites. And then, good old Super Mario, not the longest game, but a lot of people probably didn't make it past World, 2 or anything like that, like the first game. So it's like Mario's not an easy game. People go back and be like, man, this is rough. It's like, yeah. All of that stuff is always going to be there. So when it comes all the way full circle to this, it's just like, I don't see reload speed, and especially something that's been around in first-person shooters for freaking ever. If that's one of those things they feel like they need to tackle, but I can go after a boss with a flying super that does so much more damage and tack on Breach and Clear, or you can tag them with Stasis so you do more damage and you come from a well. All of that stuff combines is stuff that they built in the game, but then the reload shotgun thing, they built it in the game too. They built that in, and it's kind of... Those are the one thing. Yeah, Contra's another one. All those are just insane. So it's like the difficulty, people find ways to make the game difficult with low mans and everything else. So it's like this little thing, and again, that's the other piece too. Some of these are tools that help people Sherpa to make up for people that are not obviously this skilled and allows people to, somebody, because that's one thing they got away from. In Destiny 2, almost every raid, you all have to be doing something most of the time. There's no sword. There's the relic is kind of a clutch moment, but it's not there anymore. So this is a little bit of that. Now everybody has to be on your game and doing everything. It's not bad to have equality, but not all players are going to be equal. And to be
Right.
able to continue to expose raids to more people, some
Facts.
people are going to have to do more than others. And if this is one thing that somebody's learned, be like, hey, I can carry your damage. You got to stay alive. You got to handle the oracles.
Right.
Put what damage in you can. It's
Yeah. No, I agree.
again, I'm with you
said it
guys. Long
beautifully.
discussion aside, but it's one of those things. The skill ceiling that's really high, especially in a PvE activity, in my opinion, doesn't really hurt anybody. If you're pulling an internet cord, yeah, that needs fixed. But
Right.
if it's just using what's programmed in the game, I mean, there's points where when you dig into the game, like there was a point where you could put anarchy on an enemy, switch over to mountaintop as another
Yes.
grenade launcher, and that was changing the damage that anarchy would tick. So there's
Right.
some things just so buried in the code that they're just going to have to live with it. So
Right.
I hope this is one of those things that they don't go like hard after, because
Yeah.
either they're going to take sludge shotguns out of one spot so it's not a thing, or it's one of those things that
Yeah.
pulling the cord code old school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like, I don't mind a skill ceiling because, again, there's people that are far. I'll teach somebody how to do something at a level, but I'm also not, I'll never be esoteric or glad or any of those guys because their skills are
Facts.
just insane. So
Yeah.
you got to have levels, and it's nice to give those people something to
Yes.
shoot for.
No, I agree. Last point, Fred, I think said it best. We'll watch the pros to inspire us bad players to try something insane. And I think it's one of those things that there are times, as for me, like medium skill player, right, that I'll do an encounter. I'm like, there is no way. This is just way too crazy, right? And then you watch these videos and you're like, yo, it could be done. Okay, I got to do this. I got to have this set up. And it also gives value. So I think that's important, that inspiration to let the mid and the casual player say, hey, we can actually do this. There is a strat, right? And let's try this strat that we see from, whoever. And I think that's a part of Destiny. And then don't you want more people playing the content? Don't you want Bungie? Like, if you're Bungie, don't you want more people having VOG clears or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would think you want them jumping in every week, as opposed to the opposite, where they get frustrated, like, yo, I'm never doing this. I'm good. It's not for me. There's no way. Like similar to Trials, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm getting smashed. I'm not even going to attempt this. I'm out, kind of thing. I think it still promotes engagement, which I thought was the end game. And again, I feel Reload ain't breaking nothing. That's just me. That's what I had to say. Mhm.
Yeah. It seems trivial,
Yeah, that's
almost
just me.
trivial.
Yeah, it's just very minute to bring the hammer so hard. But that's just me. What else we got here?
It's like we knew the TWAB was going to be light, so that's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go too deep on the stasis changes and stuff because
No,
there are
fair.
people who are, for one, played with it some. There's going to be videos talking about each of them, kind of describing what's going on. As to Cross's video is 45 minutes.
Shout out to Cross.
His videos are not that long, so if you want the details on some of these things, like
It's gonna be nasty.
yeah, it's gonna be
Shout out to
nasty.
Cross.
Yeah, so shout out.
You
So
gotta
yeah,
get Cross on.
there are definite changes to PvP with stasis. Jump in there, see how it feels. Trials may not be quite as crazy. Cheating will be a thing. I mean, you said just if you saw out there, they're hiring somebody to work on anti-cheat. That's one of two things. It's a good thing they're hiring somebody, but it's unfortunate they're hiring somebody, which means it's still in the process of being worked on. So it's not going to happen around the corner. But overall, I think there's for what happened in the last kind of day and a half between the stasis nerf and the firing range, and then you got Fire Team Chat 300. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you believe me, go out there. If you don't listen to a whole lot of Destiny podcasts, there's going to be a couple that you're going to want to check out for sure to learn a little bit more, kind of end of an era for Fire Team Chat. And as for this week in the game itself, we didn't get a ton. We got a new expunge. We got sticks.
We got something. And we gonna talk. I got to talk about something.
We did get something.
We got something
in the lore.
Yeah.
So we got some story beats to drop.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't want to discount that. The game Sticks is a new one, which is cool.
Yes.
But before to even get to that, we got to see a cool bit of story from another animated storyboard.
Something that Ibantis has been preaching for a long time.
Yeah. So if you want to jump in, you're more than welcome.
I've been waiting. So this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Lore and story this week. So what do you got? What'd you experience? The cutscene, the feeling, rumors. Cognito, take it away, sir. This one's yours.
A lot going on. And again, I know, some of my Destiny folk, like, oh, season, it's light. I don't really like the content. And I get it. And that's fair. If you're getting tired of doing override all the time. I feel you. But this week was straight fire. And let me tell you why. Tune in to the Bungie this week. Because, man, yeah, they actually, addressed a lot of stuff. We know the tension is building this season. Obviously, the Elixir, they're here. House Light, Mithrax, the whole crew, falling and trying to, help us with this whole situation with the Vex in this endless night. So after you do the mission, you know what I mean? You're told to report to Ikora, and Ikora has some choice things to say about Miss Lakshmi, who's been bad-mouthing her for a while now. Now, if you remember last week, I got to throw a little reference, don't get mad, E. Lakshmi is on her make the tower great again stuff.
Oh, God.
So she's not about these falling. She is not about these falling. She's out of control. She's loose, right? Now, the only thing I'm going to give Lakshmi is kind of funny. She do got one good point, and she's saying, look, we supposed to be a democracy, but the reality is, people of the city, did they ask you that the fallen could come in here? So it's this fun tension brewing, and she's sparking it with these PA announcements, and she's got, she's making the town great again with her foolishness, right? So anyway, what has now happened is something, they have sabotaged. The chat's funny. They have sabotaged where the Elixir are staying, which is not that far from the Scourge of the Past raid. The Ether tanks burn, the babies are in danger, the fallen babies. It's not looking good. Now, apparently Crow came at the end to break it up. So what ends up happening is then you have to go to that part. You get to that part, and it's a tense scene. It's Mithrax, Saints there almost in a cop role, to see what's going on with the situation. And and Lakshmi's there, and she's not sympathetic. She's not, she's like, hey, our races have been fighting for years. You're not really kind of welcome here. We almost would pay the bill for you to get out. Like, she's really off the ledge with it. But where it really gets deep is the cutscene. And the cutscene is probably one of the better ones they've done. And while they're on the subject of you monsters being the Calling the Fallen, old Mithrax got a story to tell. And it did not make Saint look good. And it basically showed, from their perspective, what he represented, whether it was, provoked or unprovoked, pillaging, killing, falling. And the great Saint didn't look like a saint. It looked very, very, very rough.
Oh, man, and that was the way they painted him. The perspective is huge when you see it from their dude, that is like I can't quite picture. It's all to them. It almost Darth Vader might be a little far of a reach for a reference, but I mean, menacing, just absolute terror to their entire race. Like, pretty terrifying.
Very terrifying. Kill him, he comes back, and it basically is, one person's hero is another person's monster, and it was really well done. And it was so well done that Saint ain't have nothing to say, and Saint liked to talk. Saint was quiet. So it was one of those things where it's like someone pulls up your rap sheet live and say, yeah, this is you. This is all of this murder and pillage. That's you. So it's interesting. It is definitely one of the better beats in storytelling I felt from Destiny. And there's a lot of unrest. And the last point, and I'll give it to Silver because I want her thoughts on all of this, was that something even more scary happened after that. Which is you go, to Lakshmi. they said, yo, Cat, you stupid. They caught Saint in 4K. Yeah, they caught him in 4K. They got the rap sheet. He got him. They got him. So, but here's the crazy part, y'all. Like, you go to Lakshmi, she's doing her thing on the PA address, and she's like, yeah, even the people of the city, they're singing the song, and you hear that tune again. Something rise from the sun, something is one. And once you heard the tune, we already know what that is. That So Savathun's influence is facts.
The moon. That's a terrible song.
Bro, Savathun's influence is it is spooky, y'all. It is spooky. I gotta bring to Silver. Like, what are you thinking, Silver? Like, can we get out? This is looking bad.
Oh my god. Don't feel bad. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm actually behind because what you started describing is what I got to today.
No, you should have
I'm
stopped me. No, you should have stopped me.
I didn't want to interrupt. Well, actually, it's a good. I love spoilers. So now that I know I have something,
I feel
you're one of the rare ones then. But yeah,
yes, I love spoilers. It helps me keep things straight. Helps me keep the facts straight. Now that I know, I'm like, oh my god, it's about to get good. You mean I actually look forward to something that's developing in the story, which I normally don't. So you just set the stage for holy crap. What am I about to experience? Because I'm a week behind, basically.
Okay. Okay.
Don't feel bad. It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing because I love Saint. So I want to like look at this man and be like, excuse me? On 4K. I have no clue what you're talking about, but it sounds like, okay, the fact that the season is getting intense this quickly, that's huge.
Yeah.
So maybe I should shift my focus a little bit more to the seasonal content. I've been getting GM ready, and believe me, I'm almost ready. So I'm always like grinding pinnacles. I hate that. I hate doing pinnacles, but I have to do it. So that's what I focus on. I feel like I run out of time to do stuff like, whatever the seasonal activity is. I love Override. I actually love soloing it, believe it or not.
Oh, salute. You're able to
it's a funny story. The week that the season started, the first day we all couldn't log in. And then the next day I was finally able to get in without deleting my friends list. Turns out I had a NAT type issue that I could not resolve for like 2 days. So I had to kind of figure it all out and just solo play. So I got into Override by myself, and talk about spoiling the experience. I like doing it by myself. I don't like doing it with 5 other blueberries.
Salute. No, that's impressive.
It's funny. Yeah, but you can't technically like fail the event. You can't technically fail it.
Yeah, you can't.
But I love it. I just love it. Like I can take care of everything. But with 5 other people, I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, I can see how you could like that as a solo event.
I'm just not drawn to it. But I do try to at least get my pinnacles done and maybe do a little bit more. Because seasonal weekly challenges and whatnot. But the story is not something I tend to focus on.
Gotcha.
So. I was like, oh my God, fallen babies. Like I wasn't crazy, but I was like, okay, the season's gonna be interesting.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting. We got the Destiny baby Yoda. This is gonna be good. I'm excited to get to that because that sounds incredible. Like I won't look up the scene and be like, oh my God, I almost want to see this before I actually see it in game. But like now I'm like, okay, like. Maybe I'll get on Destiny after this and go, check it out.
Girl, you gotta get to it.
It sounds good. It sounds very good. What you just described, I'm like, oh my God. But I did hear that, what's her name? Future War Cult lady is kind of crazy. Like,
Lakshmi's in her bag.
She crazy.
Well, I mean, there's a point where Mithrax asks, like, should they have that technology of like looking into the future? Because also, like, she's going off a reference where she sees Mithrax in a burning tower or something along those lines, I think. But there's no reference of he's near the tower now. Just because he's there doesn't mean he did it. And it's like an incomplete picture. So again, it's the reference of, having all the facts before you decide to say, hey, the Fallen are bad. Now, granted, Saint's experience has been trying to survive Fallen and everything else for years and years and years. So it's obviously he's been trying to, from his perspective, protect the Guardians and kill the Fallen. Yeah. Fallen on the other side,
he got the, not to cut you, he got the history from Twilight Gap, which is serious history against them. Yeah, continue.
No, it's like, and so there's history on both sides, and that's why I like the perspective this season has been interesting. Last season was like introducing Keitel, getting a feel of like, not a villain, but more, just a different side of a different race, basically the way they function, the way they would work, the way she actually wants us to Neil, in her mind, that's not a bad thing, but for us, we're not going to do that. So that was a cool way to see that story. This time we have the perspectives of, House Light wanting to try and do these things to, they have a chance to, basically be under the Traveler again and get near it. He's working with like the Vex technology. Mithrax is trying to help us out and help Guardians to try. And because, we made the motion in that one mission to not kill him. So it's like there's been this little build so far. And then now you get to see the perspective of basically portraying Saint as like this demon figure. It's pretty crazy to see. And I love that they took somebody that was like, oh, who's one of your favorite Titans? Oh, Saint. And then you turn around and from their perspective, it's like, Jesus, it's like
who
the evil.
is this dude?
Yeah, it's like the boogeyman almost. I mean, it's so crazy. So it's like, it's really cool to see the way they're playing with the story. There's speculation of some other stuff going on. And it's like, if the epilogue sits at the end of the calendar, and I swear if they don't do something with cool story this time,
they got to. No,
I was like, the way they're building this right now, Savathun's, we're going to have a long season 15. We know that's going to be there. Crossplay is probably going to be the thing that tides us over till Witch Queen. But this is too many implications going on for them to not deliver something cool with the epilogue. Because if the way it's playing out so far, and is it 3 or 4 weeks into the season? 3, 4? Not about, I think 4. There's a lot going on. So I'm hoping like this trend of storytelling has been fantastic. I just want to see where it keeps going because rumors, speculation, Tassie did a weird video about Osiris, New Rad saying, it's like stuff taken kind of out of context. So again, you can take it all with a grain of salt. But it's just the idea of Savathun's song and what she's doing. They talked about setting up the dominoes a long time ago in the Vidoc and all that. And again, the storytelling at this point in Destiny is some of the best it's ever been. Narrative team is allowed to have a lot of fun. The storyboard cutscenes, I'm absolutely loving each one of those. And this one might have been the best because it's just like, holy hell. Really, really cool moments this week. So definitely digging the stories so far. And just, I'm hoping, I don't know if Lakshmi is going to make it through this because at some point I feel like either Ikora in chat, Ikora is just about to Nova bomb her out of existence or something.
Wants to smoke. She tired of her.
Yeah, so there's some attitude. There's some attitude in lots of the dialogue this week. It's good.
Yeah. Let me tell you.
Where's Kate? Just kind of golden gunner straight away.
You know how it is when like women talk, talk nasty about each other. Oh boy, that's the vibe I'm getting right now. It's like, oh god, can we just watch them fight it out, please?
I would love to see that scene. Because like I said, it's so funny though. Ikora has sass on it too. She was like, "Oh no, we gonna have a talk. Me and Lakshmi, we gonna have to have a talk." And I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna chill over here, girl. You go handle that." But there's one other thing too. There's 2 aspects I want to mention without going too crazy. I don't understand, spoil the thing, so. But
no, you're good. You're good.
The another thing that's pretty honorable, I thought, was Mithrax. Because he's really trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
And, it's not to get political, but it's a great storyline because it's like, immigrants or refugees coming over, right? And there's this whole dynamic. Well, they're not us. They're not from us. It's just our borders and we, and then obviously these groups have been in conflict, right? So it's such a well done story. This is like really prime Bungie narrative, and I gotta salute the team. Like, we complain about the game, but the last 3 seasons, I would say, the narrative team been on fire. Like, they've been in their bag, and I just think that, with this, you got the Mithrax thing, and then
his daughter too. His daughter was pissed.
Yeah, the pissed, kind of thing. And the last thing I'll say is, without spoiling too much, but I gotta admit is, you know who my mans is. You know who my mans. I am Team Osiris 100. But my man is looking sus right now. Something is up with my man. And if you did this override mission, you'll hear at the end, Mithrax is like, yo, I'm not gonna spoil too much. We gonna do that? Oh, yeah. And he almost stutters. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on with him? And I got some theories. We can do that another time or whatever. But something is up with my man. And I hope it's not the worst case scenario,
Which
because
is
we doing it, y'all. We doing it. Y'all want me to do it?
We're doing
All right, we
it.
doing it. Listen, I am such a fanboy, and I don't want to say this, but it's either A, he is not Osiris.
Oh my
Meaning
God.
my man is gone, because this is out of character. And the last part is, you know how we got confirmation to some extent? In the lore, I forgot, shout out to Bife, he's got a great video out. In the lore, Lakshmi is like, remember, she's starting her coup. She's trying to turn over the Vanguard, take this thing over, right? She first says she tries to approach Saladin. And Saladin she thought, because he was so, if you did Battlegrounds, Saladin was very antagonistic. I don't like what Zavala's doing, and we need to go kill the Cabal. He was very, antagonistic. So she was her first choice to join in the coup. But then she said, no, it's not working because he still has loyalty to Zavala. Then she makes a comment about my man. In the past, she was like, he's one of the most unpredictable persons, right? Guardians. All of a sudden, she says, Osiris is is strangely predictable lately, right? That was the first tell, right? To me. Tell number 2. We know the relationship. The Bungie writers have come out and said Osiris and Saint are a thing. That's a fact. That's the boo thing, right? So when he came back from Season of the Hunt, right, there was a lore piece with Ikora almost consoling Saint. Like, yo, boo, don't talk to me no more. Like, what's going on with him? Like, he don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just, as soon as he came back, he's off to the helm. He's not. So everybody was like, oh, he's mourning Sagira. That was the talk, right? But to Saint, he's like, yo, he's not acting like his normal self. That was tell 2. Tell 3. Crow. We all know since Crow has been back, he's been in a mentor role to Osiris, right? He, saved the first assassination attempt on Zavala in the tower. If you remember, my man was like, why was you doing that? He was getting mad at him. He was like, why would you? And was like, yo, I did the research. There was an attempt on his life. Why are you getting mad? I did the right thing. No, don't ever be in the tower again, chastising him all the time for trying to do the right thing and doing all this stuff. So the thing I have is this, and I'm going to hit you with this bombshell, y'all. Not too much, but I think a lot of people know where I'm going, is why is it that Crow, when you walk past him in the helm, he's singing Savathun's greatest hit?
Yep.
Oh my God.
So in order for you to have, according to Eris, in order for you to have that song uttering, you either have to be A, in close proximity to some relic, like she said Shax is, right? Only thing Crow been doing is chilling in the helm. Ain't no old relics that Savathun can use to influence. Unless somebody is Savathun. And that's where I'm going with it. He ain't right, man. I don't think we never seen Sagira die on screen. Remember, I was mad at that as a fanboy. I was like, yo, how you going to take his ghost away and we don't see it? And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I lost her, da-da-da-da. Oh, I know I'm going Scooby-Doo. I know, yes. But my thing is, I'm telling you right now, something ain't right. Either he is complete imposter or she's controlling him. Something is not right. My theory is the real Osiris and the real Sagira is trapped somewhere else. And this person masquerading as my man? Bro, come on. Like, why is Crow singing the song?
This is all going so over my head. It's not even funny. That's crazy.
That's my theory.
Crazy fascinating.
If I'm right, remember, Cog said it first. IOP, the last word, 150, what is it, 152? Clip this. If I'm right, y'all, this is my greatest joint ever if I'm able to figure this one out. But I think Savathun is amongst us in the flesh. That's not old, bro. That's not my man. I know my man. that he ain't acting right. And then
You mean
the press
you
is
mean
missing.
not Eva Levante?
Not even the press is message. He brought even Kato's like, what are you doing? Why would you bring that? What is it? The crown of sorrow.
Yep.
Why are you bringing that back to the crib? You know what the powers and the influence that thing. He's doing all type of wild. He let Lakshmi run wild, and she says, "I have a person of influence in my circle that's cooperating." Watch out, y'all. Watch out. Be careful.
Oh my God.
Be careful. Always not right. That's my thing. I'm running with it.
One Top Gear style on that bombshell. No, only a few people are going to get that reference. But seriously, like that's those type of speculations. And then they've actually presented the story in front of people enough. You've seen it in Presage with the Crown. You dug into the lore a little bit more, but you're hearing the voiceover lines. All of these things right now are at a place to where it is a lot of fun to pay attention to the story of Destiny. There have been times where it's been ups and downs and you'll get little pieces here and there. But overall, I think it's been really cool. If nothing else, Fred said it before. He's like, it's like the gameplay, leveling, may have its, ups and downs and stuff. But it's like I'm digging the story more than ever. And it's like, and I think that's where people who want to jump into the PvE stuff and keep up with the season, these seasons, like the writing they're putting in, the voice lines. Remember, picture what you're getting for $10 and tell me this stuff is not worth it.
Oh, yeah. Facts,
the amount of stuff that they're developing, like the override, they made the camp, the voiceover lines that now cycled through, and now you have different voiceover lines from Ido, the daughter, after they destroy it. Like, they are doing amazing stuff with these, like, the story, the seasons, and things like that. And if it is just, like, the Tuesday story is worth tuning in every week because I want to see the next episode. I can't, now, instead of just being like a page in a book before, now I'm almost getting an episode every week. Like this is a little more living up to worthwhile and checking in. So that's it. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the story, and I can't wait to see where it goes because Witch Queen starts the end of this saga. We're building into that right now, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff. So I as you said, is Osiris not good, doing sus things, like who knows, but overall they got a whole lot of cards that they can play with, and I'm curious which one's going to fall, where it's all going to go. So
and even if I'm wrong, the thing about it that's scary is regardless to that theory, Savathun is in position, and regardless what happens, we are in serious trouble. Like this is worse than Oryx. This is like they're setting up Witch Queen so beautifully to me that, and then with the name being Lightfall, what's gonna happen, y'all? We in trouble. We might be going to that Infinity War moment. We gotta see.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
They're gonna be crying. People gonna be crying in the tower. I'm telling you, it's getting deep, y'all. Pay attention. It's gonna be lit. I think so. That
Witch Queen is gonna be cool. the Taken King of Destiny 2. It's setting up to where it has potential to be that epic, and I just hope they can deliver. It may not be all in the first expansion and built over like the future stuff, but like Witch Queen has potential to send this whole 7 years of a lot of building, a lot of kinks working out, a whole lot of figuring out how this is going to work. But if this is the story model and how things are going to go, these last 3 years look to be some of the best that we're going to have. But
tune in next Tuesday.
Yeah, seriously. But that's about all I think we got this week. I mean, we didn't deep dive on the Stasis nerfs. Go play it, see how it feels. I don't need to go through numbers and stuff. There's people better about that. Iron Banner will be next week. Go enjoy Vault of Glass. Find some friends. It's cool to jump in there. But overall, tune in Tuesdays. Enjoy what the story is doing right now and catch up on it if you missed it. It's definitely a good time to be involved. But for this episode, as we wrap it up, Silver, this kind of becomes your time to let people know where to find you, what you got going on, what you can help them with in Sherpas, where they can look for you, everything you got going on in your world, the best places to find you. The floor is yours. So talk to the people.
All right. Well, it's basically easy. You can find me at SilverSpeare on basically any and every platform. Twitch, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Very active on Twitter. Basically, I'm just prepping for GMs, doing my pinnacles, doing Vault of Glass, getting ready for Master. like the athlete training for the season. That's basically what I'm doing.
You're in training camp right now. You're up in your stats. You're going through the level. You're going through the training camp.
Yep. Because once GM start, I'm basically gonna be living in them, and you won't pull me out of there for anything else. Like, I might have to for the seasonal content because y'all getting me really hyped up. Like, okay, I need to start paying attention to this.
I mean, honestly, I would say like it doesn't take that long, and if you've already been playing Override some, it doesn't take that much time to experience it. So I would definitely spend the time to catch up on it. It's totally worth it.
Yeah. It doesn't. So yeah, basically I'm always around. I'm on Twitter interacting with people all the time, even when I should probably be sleeping. But overall, hit me up. I'm here. I love meeting new people. I love playing with new people. Definitely looking to Sherpa people. I do not have the Sherpa emblem, so I'm just, even if there wasn't an emblem, I just wanna play and vibe with people, I love that. I really do.
Dope.
Yeah.
Salute, SilverSpeare.
Just like to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to argue with that. Cognito, what do you got coming up? Anything exciting in the ILP world?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Before I get into that, salute Lady SilverSpeare. Did her thing. She was worried about anything not to talk about. I told you we're going to have tons to talk about. Told you we're going to have fun.
We got to get into it and then I'm good. But like anxiety just hypes me up to the point where I'm like,
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
You did fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank
I love
you.
what you're doing. Yeah, I love what you're doing in the community. Great conversation. I love how you include people, bring people together. And it's dope. It's dope. And we got to celebrate.
I do my best. Just keep it real. That's all I can do. I don't have enough energy to do anything but keep it real. Like I really don't. Like I feel like I'm like 20 years older than I really am. So I'm like, I gotta keep it completely real.
You are fine.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where it's like, listen, if you don't get it, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I got nothing. It's all right. I laid it all out. You do whatever you want. I'm keeping it transparent. I'm not faking anything.
I'm with you.
If I'm having a bad time, people are gonna know about it. Not because I want to, spread negativity, but it's like, listen, I'm human.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be positive, spread positivity, but I also have my flaws. Times get tough because it's constantly keeping a balance.
Absolutely.
So people know that they can expect me to show all sides, which is doing well, doing not so well, trying to self-motivate myself to keep going, and it's just a constant thing. And so people get to see it all.
No, that's dope because that's life. That's reality.
So that nobody can say like, oh, SilverSpeare's fake. Okay, you know what? You clearly aren't paying attention. That's what that tells me. And
exactly.
I don't have to worry about that. I'm at peace with what I put out there, which is exactly as it is.
Yep.
I got nothing to hide.
That's good. Yeah. So definitely go make sure you guys go.
I'm a little camera shy, but I'm not really hiding anything.
Hey, that's no big deal. Camera is not required to do what you do, so all good.
I appreciate it.
Cognito, sir? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, man, you already know at Lord Cognito on Twitter. Check this out, man. This past couple of weeks, we've been doing what we call the E3 prediction series. It's kind of big for us. We do all the major companies. Unfortunately, because we didn't know Nintendo's date until very late, it won't be a big Nintendo one, but we did Sony last week, and now we're doing the Microsoft show. It's going to be a big show. Check us out Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll have Dealer Gaming. We'll have ACG, Tim Dog, Kid Smooth, Mr. Boom. It's going to be a huge who's who, so to speak, of the Xbox community. So come check that out. We'll do our predictions, as we wrap up the E3.
Do you think it's going to be shorter than last week?
No.
If you guys have to commute across the state, you might download last week's episode. Because how long was it?
About
4.5 hours once you got rid of the intro. 4.5 hours. And I was like,
it was crazy.
Yeah, I have not covered it all, but yeah, there's definitely some entertaining moments in there.
There's timestamps, y'all. There's timestamps.
See, this is good.
So there you go. We always put the timestamps in. So if you want to go straight to your topic or what you want to know. But yeah, these shows sometimes get out of control. PlayStation was a lot of fun. We loved speculating with that and very passionate. So again, this week, Xbox, check us out. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. on the Iron Lords Podcast YouTube channel. Every Sunday is the Lords Day. Check us out. Also, if you are a fan of Defining Duke, those guys, ACG and Maddie Plays, I was humbly invited to be on Defining Duke this week. I had a great time. I think they put it up now, the episode now. It's on their Patreon. I think Sunday it goes live to the rest of the world on YouTube as well. So check that out. And also lordsofgaming.net. I have to stress it. Shout out to the team. We've been doing this thing called the Lord's Minute. We actually have this discussion on Destiny and about what's going on with Destiny lore. So again, if you go to lordsofgaming.net, check that out. We've got some great articles, opinion pieces. And of course, check us out here. That Last Word podcast with my man E. Always a pleasure. Man racing home from the gym to do this podcast for y'all. Just letting y'all know he came through with the messy hair, and he that's the passion.
Yeah, not sure
that is passion indeed.
That's the passion, man.
It's not always looking the best up there, but I'm here.
Oh my God! Don't even give yourself more credit. You're looking. You got it. You got it.
You doing your thing. But now I wanted to salute you because I know you've been working hard. There's a lot of secret things he's working on, y'all. That when y'all see, I'm privy to the information.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see it sometime today. So if nothing else, I'll tell you guys what it was next week. So
yeah, he's working really hard, and yeah, I'm proud of him. He's proud of him. He's got his Advanced GG sponsorship.
I have no idea what it is, but I'm proud too because I know Ibantes. He's the homie.
He's the homie.
I've known him for a while. Love you, E.
Salute. Not that boy. Salute.
Or as I call him sometimes, Sitnobi.
Yo, I like
Sitnobi.
I like that.
Been a minute since I heard that one.
Hey, you remember day one when you and I met? I was like, yo, Sitnobi.
Yeah, I don't get that one much.
You'll get that one.
That's me.
Salute to E. And always a pleasure doing that Last Word. What you got going on, E?
As I said, like you guys will figure out what I worked on yesterday. You'll see it sometime today. You may not know it's me, but I'll tell you what it is next week. But other than that, started Mass Effect, so got a couple hours in, but the week got crazy. So a couple hours in, lots of world building so far. Very cool. So if I get some downtime to play after workouts and stuff, I want to get a decent chunk of stream on that one. But we're not far away from like Ratchet and Clank and a couple other things that are coming up. Yes. So lots of stuff is coming in June, which is looking busy. For gaming, for one, and then news of games for E3 and everything else is going on too. So going to be a very busy week. I'll cover what I can, stream live stuff if I'm actually able to watch the conferences. Some I'll be around, some I won't, but lots of news and just excited for, of course, more Destiny and more gaming. So I'm too old, but I still have way too much fun doing this. So I'll keep it up. So you guys can always find me Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Ibantis. It's pretty much where I'm at. So for this episode, thank you guys very much. Chat has been a hell of a lot of fun, a lot of good times in there. Silver, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on. Glad we made this thing work, and sorry for the slight delay, but I got here, so it was a pleasure and an honor. Of course, make sure you guys go follow both of these amazing people. Follow Silver, check her out on Twitch. She's doing awesome things. Always just lots of fun and love in that room. And over on Iron Lords Podcast, check out the podcast. If you got 4.5 hours to kill, that's one of them. And then Xbox probably is not going to be much shorter. So these are good. So they're always a great way to, if you got a lot of stuff to work on, you got to build a giant piece of IKEA furniture, whatever you got to do that's going to take a while, this is your time. And it's a good way to get a lot of cool people's perspectives, and they have fun, get a little emotional, but it's good time. So for this episode, it's been a blast. Number 152, June 4th. Thank you guys for hanging this morning. And for this episode, it has been The Last Word.